tomorrow I'll finish up 5-10. Relatively easy concept on 5-10. But let's just make sure we feel good about this. So I'm at problem number 5. It says we have a random sample of 10 homes in Sunnyside neighborhood in Miami. Showed an average home value of $410,000. So things that we know, they're telling us that we have some sort of mean of $410,000. And they say that we have the standard deviation of $100,000. Okay? Okay, we want to produce, and they have 10 homes. So our N value is 10. So friends, what distribution, oh shoot, I don't have my boards up yet. What distribution should we look at because we have only 10 homes? Should we do normal? Or what? T, yes. It's a T distribution because we have less than 30 items. Okay? All right, so this has to be a T distribution because of this. Okay? All right, so some things that we have to remember. Because we have 10 homes, degrees of freedom would be what? 9. It's always one less than N. Okay? So our degrees of freedom are going to be 9. So we can jump into our friends, the Desmos folks. And I'm going to, I got to look under functions. It's a T distribution we're looking for. So I have a T distribution, and then it says enter the degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom would be 9 then. So if we hit the plus, there is our T distribution, which looks very similar to a normal distribution. Agree? Okay. And we want to produce a 95% confidence interval, produce a 99% confidence interval, and then kind of compare the two. Okay, so I'm going to do a T distribution a second time. Okay, so I'm going to have both graphs. You can't see the difference between the two unless I kind of click back and forth. So I'm doing the T distribution twice. So I want to find the inverse CDF of 0.95. Or wait, I forgot. So we want to find for 5 and 6. For 5, we want a 95%. And then for problem 6, I want to do a 99%. So what is the halfway to 100 for 95? What's halfway from 95? From 95 to 100, what's halfway? 97.5%, which it means I'm going to go 0.975. And then for a 99% distribution, what's halfway to 100 there? 99.5. Very good. So that's 0.995. And guys, you just came in. We're on page 87, down at the bottom, 5, 6, and 7. All right, so we could take a look at both of those and create our confidence interval based on those. Okay, so I'm going to go period and period. So both distributions are going to go away. And I'm going to go, I believe it's inverse CDF for both of them. Okay, and then my 95% halfway to 100 was 0.975. And my halfway to 100 from 99% is 99.5, so 0.995. Okay, so just need to jot that down real quick. So 2.26 and 3.24. Okay, 3.25. Okay, so that's based on our two different confidence intervals. So remember, the lesser percent of my confidence interval, the closer it's going to be to the mean. The higher my confidence interval, the further away it's going to be. Okay? So, where should we go? So I have my 95% would yield me a T-star score, which is the inverse norm of 2.26, and my 99% would yield me a T-star score of 3.25. Okay? So we have to remember that our margin of error is T star times S, that's our standard deviation, divided by our sample size, square root of our sample size. So I'll use that on both. So I'm going to go 2.26 times S. We had a standard deviation of 100,000 divided by the square root of 10. And then this one will be 3.25 times the 100,000 over square root of 10. And we should be able to handle both of those on a calculator. So I'm going to go 2.26 times 100,000 divided by square root of 10. And then I'm going to go 3.25 times 100,000 divided by square root of 10. All right, so that's my margin of error between the two. So my 2.26 yields us a 71,467.48. My other one is going to be a 102,774.02. All right, so I can do with both of those. So we know that for the 95% confident, we're going to go 410,000 plus or minus 71467.48. And my 99% is going to be 410,000 plus or minus 102,774.02. And we can do the math. I'm going to grab calculator so I don't have to keep going back and forth with this. Stirrup might go a little loony. Well, stirrup's already loony. Y'all knew that. So 410,000 plus 71467.48. So my top value here is $481,467.48. And 410,000 minus 71467.48. $32.52. And then do the same thing below, 410,000 plus 102,774.02. 410,000 minus 102,774.02. Eight. Okay. So this is wider. Okay. So we're 95% confident that we would capture the parameter or the mean with a confidence interval from $338,532.52 to $481,467.48. Or we are 99% confident that we would capture our parameter or our mean if it was between $307,225.98 to $512,774.02. Okay, so in general, what do problems 5 and 6 say about what happens to the confidence interval as confidence level rises? As your confidence level rises, as your confidence level approaches 100%, your margin of error grows wider. Okay? Does that make sense for 5, 6, and 7? That's good coffee. Okay. Page 88. Here we go. It says, educational researchers wish to find the average ACT score of students at a particular school. A random sample of 10 students produce an ACT score of 20.02 with a standard deviation of 6.8. Okay, so this one we're not necessarily going into anything, but this is going to be starting at problem number 8. So we know that we have a mean of 20.02 and we have a standard deviation of 6.8. Okay, and we have a sample this many students. Why is this going to be a t distribution and not a normal distribution, friends? Yep, our amount of people is less than 30, so this is going to be a t distribution. So our margin of error is going to be t star times the standard deviation over the square root of the sample size. Okay? So explain briefly, number 8, why a t interval is desired, not a z. The appropriate answer would be something in the realms of, we are dealing with less than 30. Our sample size is less than 30. Something like that is 100% go. Calculate a confidence interval at a 50%. Okay, at a 50%. All right, friends, halfway to 100 is what? From 50, halfway to 100 is 75, which is 0.75. So this is going to allow us to find our t star. Our t star is going to be a value, and we jump on to our Desmos, friends. Let's get rid of this stuff because we don't need all this yet. So our degrees of freedom on this one would be 9 as well. Agree? And then our inverse CDF is going to be 0.75. So 0.70. So our t star is 0.70. And then if we want to find our margin of error, we're going to go t star times the standard deviation over the square root of the sample size. So I'm going to go 0.70 times our standard deviation, they told us was 6.8, over the square root of 10, because we have 10 people. So 0.70 times our standard deviation of 6.8 divided by our sample size of 10. So 1.51. 1.51. Okay. So that means that we are 50% confident that we will go 20.02 plus or minus 1.51 oops, wrong one. 20.2 minus 1.51 is 18.69 all the way up to 21.71. So we are 50% confident. We are 50% confident that our parameter or our mean would fall between 18.69 to 21.71 if I kept doing a random sample of 10 students out of this particular high school to see their ACT score. Okay? So interpret the confidence interval, that's number 10. Calculate, we got that. Number 9 is already calculated in the black. Number 11, considering your answer to number 10, explain why the confidence level of 50% is not used often. Okay, so a 50% confidence interval means that my margin of error is very narrow. So if we have a 50% confidence interval that we would capture our parameter, we also have a 50% margin of error that we would not capture our margin of error with our parameter, or AKA our mean. Okay, so sometimes the confidence interval is too small. It's very possible that we would not capture our parameter or our mean within that if that was that small. Okay, and then it says calculate a 99.9% confidence interval. So what is halfway to 100 if I start at 99.9? What's halfway to 100 from 99.9? Anyone know? 99.9. 5%. So I'm at 0.9995. Okay. So if I wanted to do this as a confidence interval, I'm going to change this to 0.9995. And notice how broad our confidence interval goes. It then goes up to 4.78. That is our T star. Okay, which means in order to get my margin of error here, to get my confidence interval, I'm going to go 4.78 times the standard deviation over the sample size. So I got 4.78. Standard deviation, they told us, was 6.8 over our 10 students. So 6.8 divided by square root 10. Oops, wrong one. 6.8 divided by square root 10 times 4.78. So this rounds to 10.3. This is our margin of error. Okay, so we're going to go our mean plus or minus the 10.3. So 20.2 minus 10.3. So that goes 9.9 to 30.5. So now, that is a very wide margin of error. Okay? That's a really wide margin of error. So if we were to go and randomly select another 10 students from this particular high school, we are 99.9% confident that their parameter, which is also known as the mean, would fall between 9.9 to 30.5. Okay? So consider the answer number 13. Explain why a confidence interval of 99.9 is not used often. Well, look at how broad that is. I mean, I'm almost 100% confident that my parameter is going to fall within that. But it's so broad, so it doesn't really tell us anything. So the confidence intervals, what they're trying to get the point across to you is you can be 50% confident, and that's way too narrow. If you have a 50% confidence, your margin of error is so small that you have a 50% chance that you don't even get within that. But a 99.9 is such a broad margin of error that, of course it should fall within that. Okay? And we've all heard the jokes. You just put your name on the ACT, you get a 10. I don't know if that's really true. I mean, that's something that's been spoken since I've been in school. Do you guys want to know where that score basically comes from? ACT is multiple choice, correct? Chances are if you had 50 questions and you got 10 of them correct just because you arbitrarily guessed is pretty high. The chances that you guess all of them incorrect, if you had 50 questions, is a much lower percent than you arbitrarily getting 10 of them correct. So that's why they say basically put your name on it, meaning if you're an idiot and you just guessed, which that's kind of like how Chris Sturp took the ACT the first time. Went in cold, took it, and went, ooh, that wasn't good. Studied a little bit, got a little bit higher. How high was it? It was nowhere close to perfect. So, all right, my friends. So, I don't have an assignment for tonight because we've got basically gone through it. Tomorrow, we're going to go through 510. It's pretty quick, and we'll go through the worksheet. Then Friday, we do have that quiz or a test. And again, I'm kind of trying to think. It's 31 multiple choice questions, and I'm thinking I'm going to make it, worth 20 points. Whatever you get above 20 would be extra credit. But if you got a 20 out of 31, which is a very high probability, if you didn't even know what you were doing, you could get close to that, which is good. But because I'm doing that, I will not offer half your points back on that situation, okay? Unless everyone gets a 1, and then, of course, I'll got to protect your grades. Good? Everyone happy?